Hello, welcome back to Tarot for Our Times. This is Sarah, your medium on the go, and I want to talk about the bruised hand of 47. And it does look pretty nasty. I think it was when he was meeting with Macron. Yep. And so today, this is represented by the Emperor in reverse with my very new deck. The what is this? The Reflective Tarot puts a little bit of a shine on the old Rider deck. So the Emperor in reverse is not only about a tyrant, but it's also about a tyrant that isn't whose power is waning and who is not in the healthiest state of being. And we have seen that, and I know I'm one of the 50 million readers that's once again talking about this, but I really do believe that it is getting worse. And this is unique and so speculative because we've never had a president who hid his health or lied about it so much when the appearance tells the contrary. So we're going to look at the cards to see if what's going on with that hand and what it could be. As an indication of some things. And as I start out thinking I'm going to go in a certain direction, and then something new, a new angle pops up altogether. So I want to look at what's going on with the bruise. Could it be blood thinners, an IV? And it should be interesting to see the symbolism in the cards. And then how serious and why is his condition being hidden? This is very unique. So I think that the Emperor in reverse is definitely the card that we're looking for. I've often said that it's the Emperor has no clothes. The old Hans Christian Andersen, but I think right now I'm going to say that the Emperor has no health. And a lot of this is his, I don't sound very compassionate about this, but a lot of this is his own doing. So I'm going to use the first thing I'm going to use, make sure I've got all the cards. That would be nice. Okay. Oh, that's the other deck. Okay. First, I'm going to use my new deck, and then the usual Rider deck that I've been using, and I've been shuffling this. It's hard to shuffle now. I've been shuffling this to death. So, what we want to do is first look and see what it actually could be going on with that. So you got this. We'll put this back in here someplace and give this one last little shuffle. Okay. So okay, so here we go. So what is that bruise? I'm going to say, what is that bruise on the hand trying? I will have to say I was kind of taken aback by seeing that. I thought that, and plus that's a very old looking hand too. So okay, so let's see what's going on here. Temperance. Okay, this would indicate a balance. I'm going to say that this is about trying to keep the balance of the public image. And then what we have here with the energy crossing it is, okay, I'm going to say on the surface the attempt to give the illusion of balance. That's what temperance is all about. But the Ace of Cups in reverse is saying that this they're also trying to, and this always comes up, they're also trying to cover up an emotional decline. And I just saw a couple of recaps of his interview with the British Prime Minister, and it was pretty cringeworthy, I have to say. Really cringeworthy. So let's see what's going on underneath all of this. We have, the completion of a cycle in the world card, and I wonder if that could be the cycle of being able to hide, although they haven't been that successful, but maybe he hasn't been shown himself to be bad enough to still, with those that want to believe it, hide it. I'm going to say this, it's getting hard that whole thing may be open. And I would have to say that with the interviews and his like incoherent ramblings and all this sort of thing, is saying that there is an acceleration between the mental and the physical health that seems to be good. And of course, this is for entertainment purposes only. Then we have the Knight of Cups in reverse, which tells us a couple things. This is about emotional instability, but the type of that it would, because the knight is the younger person. I usually figure the knight to be from the teens into the like 30s or something like that. And so this is saying that his emotional stuff is getting very immature, and we have been seeing that. So I'm going to say I don't think they want to show any physical thing that's wrong with him, because then that adds on to all of that other stuff. Okay, so I'm going to see the opposition of this is then we have the Queen of Pentacles in reverse, and she did come up last night when I recorded last night about that paying for the green card stuff as a threat to national security. I'm going to say that this is, I think that someone that isn't quite to the top of their game physically and emotionally, that is a threat to our national security, because the president has to be on his game, and this one obviously isn't. So this does present a danger to national security, which is already compromised thanks to the brilliant things that have been done. So let's see. In the past, we have the Queen of Wands in reverse, and I would say this may be kind of like the female side of him being, it's kind of like that nasty, vindictive, mean girl stuff. And but this is when older women who know better do that. It's like they're back in high school. And so, and this is also about infidelity. And I'm kind of wondering if and this has been speculated, that there may be some kind of untreated pass along paying for your good time illness. And boy, is that for entertainment purposes only, that there may be something of that in the past that comes from, indiscretions, shall we say. Okay, so we're going to go to the conscious thoughts. Oh, here we go again. That's real interesting. Now we have the King of Wands in reverse, and he is the male side of that nasty tyrant. And I'm also going to say that this is a lot of bluster and bad temper trying to is a false sense of power, that if the louder you are, then the more powerful you are. But I'm also going to say that it's been interesting about the the queens are supposed to represent an inner life, which I agree with to a certain degree, and the kings are supposed to be about how it's outwardly done. So again, this goes to infidelities. The King and Queen of Wands in reverse has been, and as I say in my personal readings, when people are talking about their broken marriages and this comes up, and I say infidelity, and they go, "Oh my God, yes." So okay, so and justifying it. This is the whole thing. So I think when people justify that sort of thing, they justify maybe covering up their illness. So, and I always see wands as having to get shots and injections. So maybe there have had to be IVs because of a long going disease. So that seeming very possible. In the subconscious, it's this whole thing about we need to go on to smoother waters. We need to get out of these choppy waters. So anything we can do to do that, we're going to do that. And then we have the swords, which is communication. We'll communicate anything, even if it's a lie, to do it. So that's been the undercurrent of what's been going on. So then in the present, which I think I need to do a couple of, oh boy, this is so weird that we had, I really shuffled these every which way I could, because new decks are kind of difficult. So the Knight of Wands in reverse is telling me that if there was some kind of a disease contracted, it might have been when he was younger, maybe in his 20s or his 30s, that sort of thing, that it's quite possible that there's something that has been some kind of a chronic thing that's been going on. And I have to say that this kind of direct, and he never grew out of it. That's the whole thing, is he never grew out of, his have you ever heard his own personal Vietnam kind of thing? So this is kind of interesting, and this has all been going on for some sort of, okay, he's never eaten well. I would say there is the indiscriminate sleeping around, which I don't judge, but at the same time, when that happens, it can't be in a predatory way. And then here we have the Knight of Cups in reverse right over here. And instead of being the overly romantic knight, he can get into fantasy land about relationships that may not exist and becomes kind of predatory. So you get these two kind of in close proximity. And I'm going to say that it could be, I'm just speculating for entertainment purposes only, that maybe it was some kind of thing he picked up along the way. And it could be something they've been trying to treat over the years. And but it could also be something else. So let's see. I want to pick some more in the present, see if they say what this could be. Okay. Interesting. We just had the World coming up over here, as I would say, as the completion of like semi-successful in covering up an illness. And the World, in this context, the World coming up in reverse is saying there is unfinished business. I believe that part of it is the bad diet and whatever habits that he had that are that he never got rid of. So that's kind of like the thing, the uncompleted thing, things that he never corrected to improve his physical or his mental well-being. And and he holds grudges, so no book is ever closed with him. The only thing that's closed is the ability for them to, to even to maybe convince his most hardcore supporters. And he does brag about, I mean, if he had the kind of body that he brags about having, it would be like hubba hubba time. I mean, it was that whole thing with the weight of like being, 200 or whatever, 250 pounds when it's probably more likely 100 pounds more than that. So then, in the hopes and fears, we have the Two of Cups, and to me, this medical, the Caduceus and the Lion with, I mean, this all is this. I'm going to say that's his hand-picked doctors, feel goods that he's had a close alliance with, but that's going to prove to be to his detriment. So it's always the hope that if he gets some quack to say what a healthy specimen he is, then that has to be, which may go to the mental part of this thing. So it's kind of like he doesn't want to hear he needs doctors that are yes men just as much as he needs cabinet members who are yes men. But the fear is, and I'm sure the fear of people around him is that he's not getting the proper medical treatment. The only time being is when he got COVID and he got that massive, treatment thing, which I'm going to say that when it was over, I highly suspect he said, keep the steroids, please. So this is a really interesting hopes and fears card. So I want to go into a little extra here of in the matter of his health, how he sees himself, which is he's going to lie because he doesn't want others to judge him. So that's the big cover up. That is the big cover up, with this being in reverse. And that's how he's always lived his life. How others see him. Can't make this stuff up, boys and girls. A disaster. With every interview and seeing that tilted way that he stands, which a nurse friend of mine said that a few years ago, in his first term, that's a sign of neurological problems when they lean over like that. But others are starting to see him as a disaster, both mentally and physically. And and they can't shut him up. I mean, they can't. I mean, he's got to have his press conferences. So this is and this could all be to his detriment. So we will see in the going to happen in the near future. Good old devil. Boy, there wouldn't be a reading without this coming up at least once. So we've got the devil. This could be about addiction. It's kind of like God only knows what kind of medication they've put him on to hold him together. There is the talk that he's possibly addicted to Adderall, but he's also addicted to keeping people chained to him as well. So here comes the addiction, the codependence. It's telling me this just isn't going to get any better. And the thing is that the illusion of the devil card is that the devil thinks he's really almighty, but if people with a strong backbone, or they have enough desire to either leave the addictive relationship or deal with the substance abuse, then the devil no longer has them, and they realize it's not easy, but realizing it's doable, which really weakens the devil. So further down the line, I'm going to say further down the line, I am in the emotional level and also in the physical level there. That's kind of resorting back to the younger days, and maybe him. And I think doctors have these, whatever they call them, have been telling him. It's like they humor the kid, and they tell the parents what's going on about. Oh, you're doing just fine. That I'm going to say there could be something where he said literally says there's something fishy here. He's going to have to feel really, really bad for that. So the conclusion of this is, as far as looking at that bruise and what could be going wrong, I feel like I need a drum roll for this. Okay. The Knight with the Message of the Cup. I think that this is about keep hearing about what, because this is a romantic guy, and to get the girl, he's going to pretty much tell her what she wants to hear. And I think this is true that he may smell something a little bit fishy, but he's only going to want to believe the best news about himself. So there we have it. And so he's, I've always said he is his own worst enemy. And as I do my little medical intuition thing, I suspect, well, of course, with his terrible diet, I think that it's possible that he could be on some blood thinners, because I look at the circulatory system and I go, yuck, this is like bad pipes that you have to call the plumber for. But I also think it could possibly be that there has been an IV, and it could boil down to maybe they need something a little bit stronger than the blood thinner. So. And it looks like maybe he's been treated lately. I really do have to pull another card on this. So let's see. We have the Five of Pentacles in reverse, which is telling me that the kind of help that he's been, in the reverse, it's like they're going for help, but you're wondering if they're going for the right kind of help. So I think what this is telling me, that a lot of this stuff with the bruising is very possibly experimental stuff they have been doing, which some may be legit, some may not be. But I would say that the first requirement of any doctor that he has is they have to tell him that he's in in fact, that lie, he's in the best shape of any president that ever was a president. And that, but just, and give him treatments, any kind of treatments, just to kind of like to prop him up, which is how I felt, what I felt was actually going on with that debate that he had with Biden last summer, is that they gave him a mixture of something or other. And it could be that a lot of this stuff has been IVs, which, but not like the most kosher kind. I think of Michael Jackson, that kind of thing, where finding the doctor that's going to be crazy enough to do that. So I think it could be a little bit of both, and it just comes down to God knows what he picked up when he was younger, that they have been really treating him for, maybe not in the greatest way, but in the way where he can make a good appearance. So we want to see, well, let's see how serious is this? And and maybe go a little bit deeper as far as the hiding it. I know a lot of this is that, toxic masculinity stuff, and, that there are questions about that, but it could be going back a little bit deeper than this, and we're going to see what some other cards have to say. I've got to really shuffle these up a whale. I wish I could do the other thing, but they're going to go all over. This is really, really rock solid, hard pack of cards. Okay, so we're going to use these, and then the Royale. Gilded Royale. Yep, so let's see how serious this is, because I'm going to say he's been, I'm feeling the last little spread we did, I get a sense that whatever he's had has been kind of chronic, but it could be taking a turn, a turn for the worse now, which is maybe what that hand thing is really symbolizing, that it's all the years of these, God only knows what kind of treatments, but also an indication of something more serious. So let us see, how serious is this, and let's go a little bit deeper as to why this is, and I suspect this has been going on his whole life. I mean, if it weren't for people on The Apprentice that held the depends and, kind of opening their mouths, we would have, I guess maybe if we were in the same room, we would know about the incontinence, but knowing about incontinence that's been going on since his mid to late 40s, that's serious stuff. Putting aside all the jokes that I've been sort of guilty of, I mean, that everybody's been telling, that's kind of serious for somebody that young to have that sort of an issue. So let's see what's going on. How serious is all of this? And why is it being hidden? Okay, so this is usually my muskrat card, but I think with this one it's going to be that he's got to be shown as strong and inspiring at all costs. It's a male thing, but it goes beyond that. But I also want to see, sometimes I do a dual base card thing to be if there's kind of like two things going on here at once. So, okay, so this is kind of like the why it's being hidden, but I want to see if they can say how serious this is. Okay. King of Cups in reverse is saying this is serious. So this is also the cup of, boy, this is a cup of a lot of the card of a lot of things. Cups in reverse may be various drugs they have been feeding him, and I think some of them could be of the addictive nature. This shows mental illness, mental decline. And then we have all of this water. I mean, this is a water suit. And this could be showing kind of like that bloat, that he's got that bloat, that it's not all McDonald's. Some of it is the water retention that's been going on for a while. So I would say this is the outer image, but this is really what's going on. So this is some serious stuff. And as I say, I'm not too far from his age, and I know a lot of people that I can say the same thing are, but they don't look like that. Do you know what I mean? They may not even be in the best shape, like going to the gym, but they look like a lot better than he has been looking in recent years. So then the energy crossing that is, Well, this does go back to yesterday's reading, is the corrupt family, 10 of Pentacles in reverse. I'm going to say that's been a lot of the family enabling him, and part of a crime family is you never want to look weak. Thou shalt not look weak, which is the first commandment of this kind of incredibly dysfunctional family. And that money is the important thing, and if we can, I think it goes back to buying health. If we pay for expensive doctors, that means we don't have to take care of ourselves. And I think this has been a big problem. It's been going on for years, and it could have turned into something that is very serious. So let's see what's underlying this kind of shebang. To me, this Nine of Wands is very serious, because when this is upright, this is about the wounded warrior who lost the battle but not the war. He takes a pause, he bandages himself, he brushes himself off, and he goes back to fight another day. With this being in reverse is saying, if he's still able to do it, he's not bouncing back quite as well, and he is probably at the point where he will no longer be able to patch himself up. So let's see if I can, okay, that's better. So I'm going to say that this is serious. And this has been going on for a long time, but it can't work forever. And then we have, along with this, is that what this is saying is that he cannot carry all the burdens of the office. I believe that in the last one he wasn't quite as in bad health, but he does need people. This is the thing. He needs people to help to carry some of these things, but he makes it look as though he's carrying them all so he can go off and play golf. And I'm wondering how long that's going to last either. So these two things, rods in reverse, that is serious. That is like not really good health. Oh boy, and here we have another one. We have the Page of Wands in reverse, which is talking about, again, an illness that's probably, he's been probably treated with for years. And it's after a while, especially if you're being treated by quacks, they'll make you look, if they're expensive ones, they'll make you look really good for a while. But in the end, it's no longer sustainable. And my little spirit team just told me that if this, say this debate that he had with Biden were to be repeated, even now, I was going to say like a year from when that happened, I'm going to say maybe now or in the not too distant future, whatever they gave him to bring him up and mellow him out, which must have been one hell of a cocktail, that even with that, it would have turned into a disaster, an incoherent disaster. So this is saying this is pretty serious right now, as I say, for entertainment purposes only, which is kind of answers the question of why is this hidden. So let's see, the opposing card to all of this is the Eight of Pentacles, the upright. And this tells me, this is because I only heard this recently about his father. His father, Fred, had the Alzheimer's was advanced. He lived pretty long for it because he took better care of himself physically than his son did. He was always trimmed, this sort of thing. But they had him come into the office, the fake office, just have him sign sheets of paper to give let him live in the fantasy that he was still making the money and still in charge of the family business. So this is telling, and it's all about the money. It's keeping that. See, this is the be all and end all for families like this as we go back to the energy of the Ten of Pentacles in reverse. That money is your masculinity, it's your power. That's why he sold red hats in the Oval Office, if you can believe. Yes, I can believe that. So it's always about the money. That is where the masculinity is tied up, as far as seeing how many women you could get, but primarily it is the money. And I think that they're giving him the illusion of the wealth. He did make some money on the crypto, but I get a sense that so much of that so-called wealth it's paper, it's on paper. So it's the illusion of his being efficient and bringing money into the country, but it's like crazy stuff like buying a green card for $5 million. I mean, a few of us joked around about during the campaign, why don't we put him in a fake Oval Office, have people, actors that could impersonate Macron and Zelensky and all this stuff, and make him think, and I honestly think that could work. At some point, that could honestly work. So it's that whole thing kind of going back to his father. So let's see, in the past we have the Seven of Pentacles, which this goes back to his bad. See, she's walking away from that because that stuff is rotten that grew on the tree. It represents his bad business decisions that made his businesses fail. Now, I would think that when he was younger and healthier, they were just bad mistakes because he's not really good at that. But I think now it's kind of like they have to feed the illusion that what he's doing is really smart, and then kind of nix it and hope he doesn't remember. I think it really could come down to this. So this is this is kind of like what they did with his father is kind of like, I think, what they could be doing to him, because there are other people pulling the strings, and I do believe they don't give a hoot about him, and are probably taking advantage of his weakened physical and mental this is how Putin's been playing him like a violin. I'll give that man credit. I mean, he wasn't the head of the KGB for nothing. He sees the guy is weak. He's playing on that. But if you flatter him, and that comes in with telling him he's the picture of health. No one ever told him if you keep scarfing down those burgers and fries that you're going to, ruin your health. Nobody ever told. I don't even, maybe the doctors gave a little bit of lip service, but he's really making a very bad harvest. But if you turn your back on it, you can say, oh, well, maybe it isn't ready, or some other kind of denial thing. So I think this is a really interesting Seven of Pentacles in this deck. So, conscious thoughts on that is, well, why have him be worried, and why should we worry ourselves? I think that the ones that this is interesting, because the ones that I don't think anybody likes him, even his so-called friends. So I think that a reason that his condition may be hidden, which is about the oligarch class, and probably even the muskrat, I am sure, is if we just not have him worry about it, and we don't worry about it, hey, we're just going to let nature take its course. We'll keep flattering him and getting everything we want. Of course, they don't, this is the mistake everybody makes with him. They don't take into under consideration of what a loose cannon he is, and that he can just turn on you and throw you under the bus. So they're living in this whole thing like, this is not going to keep us up at night. We're just going to let nature take its course, and we'll take advantage of it and flatter him. And it's out of the Putin and every other dictator in the world playbook. Let's see what they think about this oh, here it is. Subconsciously, we've got death in reverse. So subconsciously, the driving thing that's running this engine is that if they kind of feed his ego as these, I have a feeling he's had near-death experiences. It came out later that his COVID incident back in 2020, that he did, if they didn't have that treatment for him, he would have croaked for sure. So the subconscious thing is maybe they're fearing that he'll keep coming back from these, like Frankenstein, just keep. In fact, one of the readers calls him Trumpenstein, which is really interesting. I might do that myself. That he is the Trumpenstein, that he gets to the brink and then he comes back. But in the end, that's unsustainable. He's not going to be his father. He's not going to be going into his 90s at the rate he's going. And he's not in the mental state to really turn that around. The damage has really been done. So let's see, presently, oh boy, I cannot believe, okay, so presently we have Hot Devil here. This is how he sees himself. This is really how he's seeing himself. This is how big his denial is that I'm going to be the dead hot devil. The women are going to fall over me. I'll bet you when he looks in the mirror without a shirt on, that's what he sees. So physically, especially mentally, that is really serious stuff. And it's also the illusion that he is really in control of things, when maybe these other little figures in here, they could be pulling the strings. So, wow, this is the double header double. The scary rider devil and the hot gilded devil. So that's kind of what's going on with him now. And that also doubles as how he sees himself, which is, you've heard the things he said, my big, beautiful chest and all of this. And you go, what? Okay. That's what's going on now. Let's see what we have in the hopes and the fears. Okay. Again, la carte du jour. The Emperor in reverse. So this is kind of like the hopes that they're sort of thinking, and he, they can have him play. And I think right now with him, it's kind of like delusion instead of just outright lying when it comes to his health, because he's been fed all of this stuff. So it's like, let him think he's the emperor. Let's hope that if he believes he's running things, we can control him. But the fear is he's the This is also King George III too. That I think they did the same thing back in the 1700s with this character. Is like, oh, let's humor him and we'll play him along. But then he would so crazy they couldn't control him. And that's the fear they have also, that, well, maybe we can't control him. We sort of have him where we want him, but it's like, really be careful what you wish for. So coming up pretty soon will be the Three of Pentacles in reverse. And this is a card of negotiations. There will be, and it's interesting because in the other deck you have the two patrons, but they're off. It said they're off the stage or they're out of the camera range right now, and it's kind of like as this worsens, the puppeteers have no, they have the strings, but there's like no one there to pull them, and that's the whole thing of maybe beyond negotiation, and they just can't control him anymore. So this is definitely what's coming up in the near future. That's pretty scary if this is not too far off. So a little bit further off in the future is the Page of Wands, when they're going to have to find a new message. They're just going to have to, is because the theme of both of these readings is that this is the days of really hiding it or minimalizing it. That boat has sailed. I really think so. I think they'll make a good effort at it, but it's kind of like, who are they fooling? So let's see. In conclusion of this is, it's about the money. It's always been about the money. I think that there are people, I wouldn't put it past the muskrat to fleece him. I think he's waiting for this guy to go off his rocker so he can actually steal from him. And I would say other oligarchs are going to have him in his sights. And I remember someone said to me a long time ago, you can only really con a con. That they, believe their own BS and they think they know it all, but they really don't. I would say this is probably not going to bode well for them in the end, because people that do that, they end up getting fleeced. So I'm going to say they're really looking to fleece the dude. Let him sell his sneakers and his Bibles and all of this stuff. Let them do it, because they're going to get whatever they have anyway. And I think they're just I don't even think they want a 25th amendment him. They want him there for a while to further manipulate and to rob him. But then again, he could end up throwing them under the bus right here. Because he's always got he could go into total la land, but he'll always have that characteristic. So, what do we as the consumers of all of this wonderful stuff have to learn from this? Justice in reverse. There's a long line of karma coming for all of this that is moving at a snail's pace, and molasses in January, and everything at a very slow pace. But when it does hit, it's going to be a doozy. Not only for him, which the karma may be for him, is that he gets really ill beyond, repair, which he may be headed. There may be other things in store too, but I'm going to say that all the participants in the enabling, it's going to come back to them. Somehow I think it's going to be, because everybody is fearing, with all of these oligarchs that seem to be taking over the TV stations and all of this, is that they kind of picked the wrong patsy to accomplish this. And I don't have any great love for him, but there is something kind of leaves a bad taste that this whole reading, the two of them come down to, they want to take advantage of someone who's ill and in total denial about being ill, both mentally and physically. And no matter how bad, it's kind of like, learn how to play fair, boys and girls. Putting someone like that in power in the first place it's been so harmful to everybody. It's just been absolutely horrendous, you know. But still, there is, as much as you know, I'm not really a great fan of his. I think that to do that to someone that's ill, first of all, to let them get into power is perhaps more cruel than he is, if that's even possible. But I guess it is. But it really shows a sorry state of our nation if because you know, Pentacles up the yin yang, which is saying the bottom line is it's all about the money, and they don't care. They don't care if they're taking, if he's ill, so much the better. But it's going to come back on them, because I think as his mental capacity keeps diminishing and his emotional, whoa, that's pretty intense. He becomes unpredictable and could really end up turning on all of them and then really harm them in the end. So I wasn't, it's, you know, it's really interesting, because I was thinking, oh, it's a mask, and it is a masculinity thing about the hidden thing, but this is also a way of kicking a guy when he's down to fill up your own coffers of money. And that, I believe, is they've played into it and they've taken advantage of it, but it will come back to bite them in the behind, because they didn't quite do all of their homework on him. So that's kind of an interesting little take. I'd like to hear, and I keep forgetting to say this, I would really like to hear in the comments about what you think about all of this, if you have had these feelings, and if you have noticed things and saying, this is not a well person at all. I would love to, I'd love to see them, and I will respond. So at any rate, I will see you again soon. So bye for now.